But so okay, that's the excitement. So it's almost looks like a TV antenna or a football field. I'm not sure, but it has an excitement to it. It's one of the outer planets. 84 years it goes around, and yeah. So you don't think of it as stable. See, it breaks away from boring things. It's where you're restless. You want to break through. So when it works well, you get moments of great freedom. I'm really free or independent there. But usually you have to work for that, or if you get the freedom too much, you can't hold it. You get a moment. I did that once, and then I never, someone might play football. I won the championship. We won the championship when I was 19, and then you had to come back at your job, and you got older, and you never played anymore. And it's an excitement you had, but it's never been done again. So that's kind of Uranus. It's innovative. You're always trying to find a new way to make it innovative, make something exciting, make something different. But when it's working when it's working best, there's been a preparation to make a work that allows you to get good so that you can excel and be the genius or be the specialist. So the idea of being special or unique or independent, that's part of Uranus, but it's a vulnerable factor in our chart unless we work to get it. We can get the freedom. Many people have had freedom, and then if they haven't worked for it, they can't maintain it, and then there's a lot of big shocks and disruptions. So the next planet, well, it's kind of funny. Uranus was when it was discovered, it was the butt end of the solar. It was the furthest out planet in the solar system, so hence the pun on Uranus. But really, they wanted to call it Herschel after the guy who discovered it, but they ended up calling it after the god Uranus. But it was the outermost planet at that time. And then when we get to Neptune, Neptune's a much bigger cycle. We will never live through a whole cycle of Neptune in our lifetime. We may get half of it. It's 165 years, and we might get a little more than half, but that's the Neptune. It's a gas cloud, gas planet, where Uranus is excitement. Neptune, when you read about Neptune, you read about big schemes, delusions, deceptions, dependencies, addictions, fantasies, illusions, corruptions. Neptune's given all these things. But the positive side of it, it's the planet of romance and adventure. It's seeing things with that extra little dream or that extra little fantasy. I want to have an adventure. One day I'm going to go here. I'm going to take this trip. I'm going to have this. It can make you very gullible and blind. If you had a few drugs or a few drinks, boy, you can be so gullible. So Neptune can be a planet of deception, but it's really the planet of visionariness, I like adventure and romance are my two key words for Neptune. We want to dream. I want to go on this adventure. Gee, I want to go to India, or gee, I want to go here. Or wow, I'm just looking. You're the perfect person in my life. I want to be with you forever. Like this enchanted, romantic side. That's the Neptune. But you get a dream. You think someone's the best person in the world. It has a certain religious, mystical side of belief and faith. So romance, adventure, and faith. I have faith in myself. I have faith in you. I believe. These are all Neptune keywords. But wherever you believe, there's a lot of places, if you're not living right, Saturn, you can attract eccentric people in these areas of belief that aren't really responsible, and great confusions and distortions can come from it. Great guilt, great sorrow, great shame. So Neptune is where you need the adventure and romance, where you have to have some faith in yourself, but where you're not exactly responsible. It's a bit more evasive or dreamy. So we really understand, like Uranus takes 7 years in a sign, and every 7 years, the styles, what's radical, what's not for teenagers, or the styles of clothes change. If it's skinny pants for 7 years, then it's going to be wide bell bottoms or something, or fat pants for the next 7 years. We go through 7-year changes of what's shocking or stylish. That's Uranus. Neptune spends anywhere from can go anywhere from 12 up to about 20 years in a sign, because it moves, it's got a wider orbit. Wherever it is, it makes that sign, something's not the way it seems. There's a test of faith, there's a test of belief, or there's many experiences of disenchantment, disillusion. You have visions, but you have illusions, deceptions, dependencies. Expectations. You expect something of someone. Sometimes you believe in someone too much. Or you should do this for me, or I'll save you. This concept of saving someone or being messianic, that's Neptune. But the same vision to make a movie or to see a great artistic work or to see a painting or to feel a symphony, that has a Neptune quality too. So in the arts, it's very creative. On spiritual levels, it represents tests of faith on the positive level. On the negative level, it's corruptions and loss of faith, disbelief, dishonesty, dependencies, and it becomes very pathetic. So wherever Neptune is in your chart, you tend to be gullible, dependent, and even fanciful or dreamy. And there's a need to cultivate faith, and it's like, as soon as you lose faith, you have insincerity, you have so many other things that come in. So believing in yourself, there's a need to believe in yourself where Neptune is, but it doesn't mean it's practical. It's where your dream is. And some people will extend that, exaggerate tremendously, like someone who's alcoholic or diabetic, or Neptune's a problem because it will exaggerate, like Jupiter, to the extreme fanatical level. Wow, I could get stoned and see this, or wow, I can see that. But at the same time, it can be very socially conscious. The good sides of Neptune is, I want to help people, I want to care for people, I want to do something that saves people, gets people off the street, or stops war, heals the planet. So on one hand, it's pollution and confusion. On the other hand, it's the work that repairs those confusions or losses. So in a person's chart, it's almost a spiritual factor, although the planets aren't spiritual factors, they're behavioral frequencies and functions. There's a function of belief, faith, trust, or belief and faith, yeah, and vision and rapture. Wow, if only we could do that. So it could run into advertising. Anywhere you're putting an image or a package or a dream together, but someone with a difficult Neptune, you're not going to want to put it in your advertising campaign because they'll make it beautiful, but they won't have a sense of how much it costs to make it that beautiful. It'll cost way too much. So with the other planets, they all tend to have they tend to escape responsibility a little bit. So escapism is another word of Neptune. Uranus shocks and disrupts and breaks away from the structure. And that can be good or bad. If the structure is bad, okay, good, but then you have to get back to the structure at some time. Neptune escapes from it, or wants to transform it or fix it. If I had a boss who wanted to fix everything even though it wasn't fixed and they were being fanatical, that fanaticism is kind of a Neptune factor. It's gullible, it's dreamy. But if we didn't have dreams, it would be a horrible world. So we need the dreams, and they're going to come up in that area of the chart, but so will a lot of complications, confusions, all the things that make you not believe or not have faith will be there, and you're having to learn through those experiences to believe in yourself to overcome that. So, or you're going to just try to escape and I'll never deal with this. If it gets negative thinking, negative understanding, then you're in a more disadvantaged position of dealing with any of the other planets. They'll give you a moment's experience and then cause all kinds of disruptions later in your life. So Neptune would be guilt and sorrows. Boy, you know how much we do to escape guilt and sorrow? I want to be in love. Oh, you weren't there for me. I had the greatest vision. I had the greatest movie. Nobody lost it. Like, just, oh. So it has all these extremes. On a simple level, I like to think adventure and romance. But boy, we build up expectations for adventure and romance. And as we build up these expectations, when we're let down or they don't happen, we have great problems. Well, romance and adventure gets us in more trouble than almost anything else. We let down our barriers. We open up. We believe in someone, and they rip us off. We weren't disciplined enough. But how many, I mean, really, most artists are very disciplined because they have to work with their structure, but they don't necessarily fit into the normal discipline of regular job or whatever. They have this Neptune adventure romance quality. It can be very artistic. It can be very socially conscious of wanting to help, but it can also be very pathetic, dependent, sad, guilt-ridden, haunted. So wherever Neptune is, something is not as it seems. So whatever house Neptune's in, something's not as it seems. And with the other planets, they're in a sign for such a long time. It's a whole generation will have this attitude. So in the 50s, And for 50s through into the 60s, you had Neptune in Virgo, in Libra, and that was the divorce generation. All the great dreams and great schemes. We finished the war. We can be married. We had the dream about the marriage, and they had the belief of how it should be. Then, of course, that turned into really, when Neptune went into Scorpio in 56, that was the beginning of sex and drugs and rock and roll, and really more passionate, obsessive things. And then by the time it went to Sag, it's just, each one takes on, a whole generation takes on a certain belief system. And then it comes down into your life. So these other planets are kind of generational factors. But they have, so they're not directly personal, but they do work as a personal function in your life. It takes time to get to know them. You don't see the planets, so you don't see their effect, but you'll come to know them and you come to feel, you know when there's an excitement or a shock or an anxiety. You'll know when there's a confusion or a guilt or a sorrow or someone feels lost or someone needs to go for the dream. You know, like you'll see these things in a chart. So this is the Neptune, the predisposition to that. So Neptune's up in the higher parts of the spiral. So now